A very good morning to all my dear students of class 12. This is the second class of the story The Third Level by Jack Finney from your supplementary English reader book Vistas. In the previous class, I have given an introduction. I have discussed the theme with you. In this class, I will teach you the text. Tomorrow also, I will be continuing with the text, and simultaneously I will be giving you some textual and critical analysis. So, the third level is about the harsh realities of war. War has irreversible consequences, thus leaving people in a sense of insecurity. And it is also the modern day problems how common people tends to escape the reality by various means. Here, in the previous class, I told you Charlie hallucinates the third level of Grand Central Station, which only has only two levels. The third level in reality never existed. Now, Charlie has come to Sam, his psychiatrist friend, whom he will tell everything. And Sam will tell him it's nothing but the waking dream, wish fulfillment for Charlie. So, in the end of the text, we will find that Sam himself will disappear. And Charlie will find a letter from Sam where he will tell that he has actually reached the third level. And here he is experiencing a wonderful world devoid of all insecurities, devoid of any outcome of the war, of the deadly war. So there he is experiencing a wonderful life, and he will tell Luisa and Charlie to be in search of the third level, and he's sure they can also reach there. So I will start teaching you the text. I will tell all of you to sit with a pen or a pencil. If you find any portion of the text which you need better clarification, feel free to ask me, and I will tell you that you will just underline the vocabularies which you don't know. Later on, you will find the meaning from dictionary, or you can see it from Google also. So be ready with the text. See the text. The presidents of the New York Central and the New York, New Haven and Hartford railroads will swear on a stack of timetables that there are only two. But I say there are three. Because I have been on the third level of Grand Central Station, yet I have taken the obvious step. I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine, among others. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station. He said it was a waking dream, wish fulfillment. He said I was unhappy. So Sam said it is a waking dream, wish fulfillment. That means he wants to escape the reality. That made my wife kind of mad, but he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. Well, who doesn't? Everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into the third level at Grand Central Station. So here Charlie says, the narrator says, the story is written in first person narrative. So here Charlie says that each and every person in modern world wants to escape, but everybody is not fortunate enough to encounter the third level. But that's the reason he said, and my friends all agreed, everything points to it. They claimed my stamp collecting, for example, that's a temporary refuge from reality. Well, maybe, but my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. Things were pretty nice and peaceful in his day. From all I hear, and he started my collection. It's a nice collection too. Blocks of 4 and practically every US issue, first day covers and so on. President Roosevelt collected stamps too. So now Charlie refers to collecting stamps, which he thinks gives him an opportunity to escape the problems of his life, of the modern world, for a fraction of moment. So it gives him a transitory escape from the problems of the modern world. Here he refers to his grandfather and Roosevelt. We have to be careful why he has given the reference of his grandfather and Roosevelt, because he wanted to mention that at their in the time where when his grandfather was there, when President Roosevelt was there, then the world did not witness the deadliest of war, the First World War, the Second World War. So they also collected it, but they did not experience the war. Still, they wanted to collect it. Anyway, here is what happened at Grand Central. One night, last summer, I walked late at the office. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. Now, I don't know why this should have happened to me. I am just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me. I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. So it was a common, normal summer day. He was returning from work. He wanted to reach home faster. For that, he wanted to travel by train. And he was talking about his dress, which he finds common. So many people in the station were wearing the same kind of dress. So he is no different. He is like the other men present at the station. Still, he has experienced something extraordinary, which the other passengers did not experience. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century. Then I walked down another flight to the second level where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway and got lost. That's easy to do. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I am always bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of Roosevelt Hotel, and another time I came up in an office building on the 46th Street, 3 blocks away. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. So it's a big station where a lot of passengers commute every day. So it's not for the first time that he is having a strange feeling that he is getting lost, and he's in previous times also he has experienced something new. Sometimes he has reached a hotel, Roosevelt Hotel, and then he went to the 46th Street. So this kinds of different experiences he has experienced before. This is not for the first time. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. So it's a big station, pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots. There is probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about, feeling its way under the city right now, on its way to Times Square, and maybe another to Central Park. And maybe because for so many people through the years of Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape, maybe that's how the tunnel I got into. But I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. So while he was entering into the third level, which does not exist in reality, he was thinking that it was like his previous experiences when he also lost his way and reached somewhere else. So it might have been like that. It's a big station. So he has given the comparison of this station like a big tree which is always growing with different branches. So maybe he has reached the tunnel like previous times, and he will reach somewhere. He did not realize that he is going to enter into a different world. The corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downward, and I thought that was wrong, but I kept on walking. All I could hear was the empty sound of my own footsteps and didn't pass a soul. So, to his amazement, he found it's only him. None of the other people was present there. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead that means open space and people talking. The tunnel turned sharp left. I went down a short flight of stairs and came out on the third level at Grand Central Station. For just a moment, I thought I was back on the second level, but I saw the room was smaller. As I told you in the previous class, the scenario, the backdrop of the third level, which he claims to have experienced, is different. There were fewer ticket windows and train gates, and the information booth in the center was wood and old looking. And the man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. Then I saw why, and they were open flame gas lights. So the backdrop is different. The gas open flame gas lights. So it did not seem like 20th century. He was thinking that he is somewhere back in the 19th century. There were brass spittoons on the floor, and across the station a glint of light caught my eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket, which was prevalent in the 19th century. People used to keep gold and precious watch in their pocket. They used to take it out and see the time. It's a sort of fashionable practice in the 19th century. He snapped open the cover and glanced at his watch and frowned. He wore a derby hat, a black four-button suit with tiny labels, and he had big black handlebar mustache. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in the station was dressed like 1890 something. Of 1890 something. Now he is resolved that everywhere that the people wearing the dresses were like 1890s. So the people were having different styles of mustache and beard, which was not there in the 20th century. So he was sure now that the people who are flickering around are from a different age. Maybe they are from the 1890s. I never saw so many beards, sideburns, fancy mustaches in my life. A woman walked in through the train gate and wore a dress with leg of mutton sleeves and skirts to the top of her high buttoned shoes. Back to her, out on the tracks, I caught a glimpse of locomotive, a very small courier Eve's locomotive with a funnel shaped stack, and then I knew. So it's locomotive. So locomotive is train. So the train, the engine, the train was a sort of different. It's not like the 20th century train. To make sure, I walked over to a newsboy and glanced at the stack of papers at the feet. It was the World, and the World hasn't been published for years. So he moved forward, and there he saw the newspaper. The name of the newspaper is The World, which was there in the 19th century. The publication of the newspaper has stopped long before. So now he is sure that he has reached the 19th century. The lead story said something about President Cleveland. I have found that front page scenes in the public library files, and it was printed June 11, 1894. So the cover story of the newspaper is something which he has seen in the collection of the library, which tells about 1894. I turned toward the ticket windows, knowing that here on the third level at Grand Central, I could buy tickets that would take Louisa and me anywhere in the United States. And we wanted to go. In the year 1894, I wanted 2 tickets to Galesburg, Illinois. So that is what I wanted to tell you. So he wanted to buy 2 tickets, and in the situation of 1890s, 1894, seeing that being confirmed that it's 1894, now Charlie wants to go to Galesburg, Illinois. With whom? With Louisa. So he thinks that the world was a sort of different, quiet world which Galesburg, Illinois is going to offer him. So now students, I will end here, page number 4. Just before the last paragraph, I will stop here. And in the next day, I will continue the text. So far, whatever we have found, I hope you have understood that he has reached the place from where he wants to buy tickets. Now let's see, as I told you, what happens. So Read the story, all of you. You will also understand. It's a wonderful story of time travel. So, here Charlie has traveled. Charlie has experienced the third level, the world, not for a long time, for a transitory moment. He has reached the third level. So here I will end my second class. Tomorrow I will start with the rest of the explanation of the text. Okay. So I hope you have understood up to this. So bye for today. Have a good day.